Okay, so hello, welcome everyone to this second week of CARMA, Critical Appraisal of Research Methods and Analysis. So this week we're going to talk about how the research community has started to move away from these questionable research practices and just biased storytelling into something that could be more reliable and trustworthy and useful, and perhaps even to the people who are interested in applications such as myself. We will also we will talk about different tools and methods, and we'll in the end of this you will get some rules of thumb for evaluating significance-based research claims, and you will perhaps also know what's the point of this t-shirt. And so let's go. Just to recap last week's topics in one frame, we could use the Garden of Working Paths. So if you Google Garden of Working Paths, Gelman, and you will find out the full explanation. But we will briefly go through this here. And the whole point is that even though you don't try to be malicious or dishonest, you can end up with spurious results if you just make these a lot of these ad hoc decisions about data analysis as you go ahead. So let's say that you get some, you have some data and you want on your primary analysis, and all three analyses you thought of produce a p-value that's not something you wanted to see. And you feel bad because results are often published only if they get small p-values, and you don't know about the journals that have different practices. And so you start thinking about, okay, so what went wrong? I was so sure about getting this right. And then you think about, hey, maybe I should do some corrections in the data. This isn't really that normally distributed, and that's acceptable, right? And you still don't find anything, but then you look at, hey, those people, they are outliers, aren't they? They're not like the other people, and I'm not really interested in those demographic groups. And when I think about this idea that I had, actually it mostly pertains to this subgroup. So you divide into different subgroups. And then you realize that some of the subgroups are too small, some don't really make sense. So you combine them and some experimental conditions you had in your study. And so you make the combinations. And at some point, somewhere in the path, you find a statistically significant result. Yes. And you go ahead and you follow the standard procedure, or the older standard procedure we've spoken. This is now changing. That you say that I was going to do these corrections, these subgroups, these people I was going to take out of the analysis, and I thought that it would bring me to detect an effect, and that's actually what happened. But you don't mention all of these things you happen to do along the way, and you end up with one of these new study headlines. by the way, if you see a study that says new study something, you might want to turn away and avert your eyes, because that's also one rule of thumb that I've learned is that most new studies don't stand the test of time, and it might be better use of one's resources to actually focus on some of the older studies that have been actually that are still relevant today. And if you Google the Lindy effect, that's something that's behind this recommendation. And so what we want to do is prevent people from presenting something that is an exploration as something that they went out to do in the first place. And if you want to do a comprehensive reading on many of the topics that have been discussed in this field, you might want to check out the papers in this reading list, and the papers citing those papers. There's also a blog called Data Colada, which has quite a few interesting posts about how all of this what are the most recent developments. So we're going to talk about how these winds are changing, so to say, with the current practice.